What if I told you that right now, at this exact moment, thousands of Australian families are driving SUVs they don't even realize are ticking time bombs? They think they made a smart purchase decision. They think they're safe. They think their investment is secure. But the truth is far darker. Some of these vehicles will literally strand you on the side of the road before the warranty even expires. Others will depreciate so violently that you'll owe more than the car is worth within 3 years. And the most terrifying part? The manufacturers knew about these problems before they sold them to you. Today, we're revealing the 10 SUVs that are actively destroying people's lives in 2026. And trust me, at least 2 of them probably parked in your street right now. Feedback to Consumer Reports, NHTSA recalls that document critical safety failures, Australian depreciation records from the Automotive Dealer Association, and real-world owner complaints sourced from automotive forums and repair shops across the country that paint a devastating picture of which SUVs are absolutely destroying people's finances in 2026. Let's start with the reality. The Australian automotive market is absolutely brutal right now. Vehicle depreciation is hitting harder than ever, and some SUVs are losing value so fast that owners are literally watching their investment evaporate month after month. We're talking about vehicles that lose 10 to 15% of their value in the first 12 months alone. But it's not just about depreciation. It's about engine failures that occur while you're on the highway. It's about transmissions that don't shift properly and cost $8,000 to replace. And somehow, these vehicles are still on dealer lots, still being sold by salespeople who conveniently forget to mention the recalls, still being financed by banks who should know better, still destroying people's lives. So let's start counting down. We're going from bad to absolutely catastrophic. At number 10, we have a tie between the Chevrolet Equinox and the GMC Terrain. Now, General Motors has always had a reputation for cutting corners, but these 2 vehicles represent a new level of disappointment that's almost impressive in its consistency. Let's talk about what makes these so bad. First, the drivetrain. Both of these vehicles come with a 1.5-liter turbocharged petrol engine. And I want you to really understand what that means, because it's crucial to understanding why these vehicles are so problematic. They've taken an engine that's tiny, that's already struggling to provide adequate power for a vehicle of this size, and they've forced a turbocharger into it, which only makes it work harder, run hotter, and fail faster than it would in a naturally aspirated application. The result? An engine that's noisy, that vibrates at idle, that's underpowered even when the turbo is spooled up, and that delivers absolutely pathetic fuel economy for a supposedly modern vehicle designed in the 21st century. People are buying these Equinoxes and Terrains expecting to achieve the advertised fuel economy figures of around 7.5 or 8 liters per 100 kilometers. Instead, they're consistently seeing 9.5 to 10 liters per 100 kilometers in real-world driving. That's not efficient. That's not acceptable. That's barely better than a V6 engine from 10 years ago, which is absolutely inexcusable when you're selling a vehicle in 2026. But here's the kicker that really makes owners furious. General Motors decided not to offer a hybrid version to improve efficiency. The interiors feel cheap and plastic. The technology is basic and outdated. The resale value is dismal, with these vehicles losing value faster than almost any other compact SUV on the market. Consumer Reports has ranked these vehicles among the least reliable compact SUVs on the market based on feedback from hundreds of thousands of actual owners. Owners are reporting transmission problems. They're reporting electrical gremlins. They're reporting engine noise and vibration. At number 9, we have another tie, and this one involves Ford, a company that should absolutely know better. The Ford Bronco Sport and the Ford Escape with the EcoBoost engine are mechanically identical twins, sharing the same catastrophic flaw that's costing owners money across Australia and North America. Ford decided that the best approach for these mid-sized vehicles was to install a 1.5-liter turbo 3-cylinder engine. This is the same engine that powers the base Ford Mustang. And here's the problem. A Mustang is a lightweight sports car designed to be driven hard, with careful driver maintenance and regular servicing. A Bronco Sport is a heavier utility vehicle designed for families who want practicality and reliability. When you put an engine designed for a lighter vehicle into a heavier vehicle and then ask it to tow, haul, and carry passengers, something has to give. And what gives is durability. Owners are reporting engine failures occurring before the 50,000 kilometer mark. They're reporting transmission issues that require complete transmission replacement. They're reporting problems with the cooling system that result in catastrophic overheating. Ford has issued multiple recalls for this engine family, including coolant leaks that damage the engine, water pump failures that cause complete cooling system breakdown, and head gasket problems that result in oil mixing with coolant. These are serious, expensive failures. The Jatco transmission used in some variants is also notoriously problematic. These vehicles are being recalled left and right, yet people are still buying them, often without knowing about the recall history. The depreciation is terrible. Owners are losing $8,000 to $10,000 in value within 3 years. The reliability is worse than terrible, and if you're on the used market, buying one of these secondhand is basically playing Russian roulette with your money. At number 8, we're looking at the Kia Seltos, specifically the 2.0-liter petrol engine version. Now, Kia has been making waves in recent years with competitive pricing and decent warranty coverage that's built their reputation. But the Seltos reveals a dark underbelly of Kia's manufacturing process that completely undermines everything they've built. The 2.0-liter four-cylinder engine used in this vehicle is nothing short of a disaster. We're not talking about minor issues here. We're not talking about the occasional failure. We're talking about catastrophic engine failure that's affecting hundreds of thousands of vehicles. This engine is known for manufacturing defects that fundamentally compromise the engine's integrity. The piston rings are defective. The connecting rods are defective. The bearings are defective. What happens when these critical components fail? The engine consumes oil at an alarming and uncontrollable rate. You might go to check your oil and realize you've lost 2 liters since your last service. The engine seizes. The engine completely fails, leaving you stranded. In February 2025, Kia issued a massive recall affecting 138,000 vehicles with this exact engine, but that's just the tip of the iceberg. Going back to 2021, there were almost 150,000 more vehicles recalled for the same issues. And across the entire Hyundai and Kia lineup using this engine family, we're talking about millions of affected vehicles worldwide. There have been major class action lawsuits filed against Hyundai and Kia. The NHTSA has handed down massive fines against the companies for failing to recall vehicles promptly. Owners have complained for years about these engines before official recalls were issued. And yet, this engine is still in these vehicles, still causing problems, and still destroying people's lives and bank accounts. The worst part is that once your warranty expires, you're sitting on a ticking time bomb of extraordinary proportions. The engine could fail at any moment. There's no predicting when. The resale value is basically worthless, because any potential buyer who does even basic research knows about these issues. If you buy a used Seltos with this engine after the warranty has expired, you're essentially buying a vehicle that could cost you $8,000 to $12,000 for an engine replacement at any moment. That's more than the vehicle might be worth. It's not a question of if the engine will fail, it's a question of when. At number 7, we have the Volkswagen Taos. Volkswagen has always had a reputation for building quality vehicles with German engineering and precision manufacturing, but the Taos completely shatters that myth. This vehicle has been consistently ranked as one of the absolute lowest rated SUVs by Consumer Reports for owner satisfaction since its launch. We're talking about bottom tier satisfaction scores, bottom tier reliability predictions, bottom tier owner reviews, and there are very legitimate reasons for this consistent pattern. First, let's talk about what it's actually like to drive the Taos day after day. The Taos is genuinely unpleasant to drive. The performance is mediocre and uninspiring. The handling is lackluster. The steering feels disconnected. The interior doesn't feel premium or refined despite the premium price tag. And then there's the reliability concern. Volkswagen owners frequently report electrical problems that are difficult to diagnose and expensive to fix. Engine issues with overheating and oil leaks, transmission problems with jerky acceleration and hesitation. In 2024, Volkswagen did replace the awful dual-clutch transmission with a conventional automatic, which helped slightly with the driving experience, but it wasn't enough to fundamentally fix the systemic problems. The Taos is overpriced for what you're actually getting in return for your money. It doesn't have a particularly strong or impressive safety rating compared to competitors. And the fact that it's consistently ranked at the bottom of owner satisfaction surveys tells you everything you need to know about this vehicle. When a company has been building cars for decades and has established a reputation for quality, but people are still reporting that they regret buying the newest models, there's clearly a systemic problem at the company level. The Taos represents a failure of Volkswagen's quality control process. It represents a company that's more interested in moving volume than building reliable, satisfying vehicles. And it's a cautionary tale about trusting brand heritage and reputation when the actual product itself is genuinely mediocre. At number 6, we have the Chevrolet Trailblazer, another General Motors vehicle. And at this point, you're probably seeing a very clear pattern emerging. General Motors seems absolutely determined to disappoint customers with underwhelming, mediocre crossovers that lack any compelling reason to buy them over superior competitors. The Trailblazer uses a 3-cylinder turbo engine that's underpowered and noisy. The pricing is outrageously high for what you're actually getting. The value proposition is basically non-existent. The reliability is questionable. The resale value is dismal. Now, here's something genuinely interesting that makes the Trailblazer even more infuriating. General Motors is actually capable of building good vehicles when they choose to. The Corvette is excellent and represents American sports car engineering at its finest. The new Equinox EV is actually impressive and shows what GM can do when they invest in quality engineering, but for some inexplicable reason, when it comes to mainstream petrol-powered crossovers destined for family buyers, General Motors seems to phone it in completely. They're cutting corners everywhere you look. The interiors are cheap plastic with minimal sound deadening. The drivetrains are underpowered and inefficient. The reliability is below average across the board. And the resale value is abysmal because nobody wants these vehicles. If you're looking at small Chevy crossovers, there's actually a better option that makes more financial sense. Skip the Trailblazer and get the Trax instead. You'll basically get the same vehicle for thousands of dollars less, which says everything about the Trailblazer's terrible value proposition. At number 5, we're looking at the Nissan Rogue. And this one is particularly frustrating because the Rogue is actually a well-designed SUV in many ways. It's genuinely nice to look at with attractive styling. The interior is comfortable and spacious for passengers. The technology features are good and user-friendly. The ride quality is pleasant and composed. Everything about the driving experience suggests this is a competent, well-engineered vehicle. But under the hood, there's a powertrain situation that's essentially a ticking time bomb waiting to explode your finances. Nissan decided to use a 3-cylinder turbocharged engine paired with a continuously variable transmission. Now, CVTs have never been particularly reliable in general, but Nissan's Jatco CVT has developed an especially notorious reputation for being problematic beyond belief. Owners consistently report transmission failures occurring before 100,000 kilometers. They report jerky acceleration and hesitation. They report complete transmission breakdowns, requiring full transmission replacement costing $10,000 or more. But the engine is the real concern that should make you run away from this vehicle. Nissan was forced to recall nearly 500,000 vehicles with the VC turbo engine for potential engine failure caused by defective bearings in the engine. That's not a minor issue that can be easily fixed. That's a critical problem that can leave you stranded on the highway with an engine that's completely seized. The bearing defects can cause catastrophic engine damage. When a vehicle looks good, feels good, drives relatively well, but has a powertrain that's fundamentally unreliable and prone to catastrophic failure, you're setting yourself up for serious heartbreak and financial disaster. You'll love driving it until it suddenly breaks down, and then you'll realize that you've invested tens of thousands of dollars into a vehicle that's fundamentally flawed at its core. Unless you're getting an incredible lease deal and plan to return it to the dealer before the warranty expires, the Rogue is just too risky for anyone concerned about reliability. At number 4, we have this Mitsubishi Eclipse Cross. Mitsubishi has never been a powerhouse in the global automotive market, but the Eclipse Cross represents a new low for the brand that's hard to fathom. It's simply not a competitive vehicle in any meaningful way when compared to actual alternatives. Compared to the cheaper Outlander Sport, the Eclipse Cross offers very little additional value whatsoever. It's not better designed. It's not more reliable. It's not more spacious. It's not more fun to drive. It's just more expensive for basically the same vehicle. But the real kicker that should make you walk away immediately is the safety rating. The IIHS has given the Eclipse Cross one of the worst safety scores of any vehicle currently on the market. This isn't a debatable point. This is an objective, independent assessment from a trusted organization. When an independent safety organization rates a vehicle poorly, that's a massive red flag. Safety is non-negotiable. You can potentially forgive mediocre performance. You can potentially forgive poor fuel economy. You can potentially forgive cheap interiors. But poor safety ratings that put you and your family at greater risk, that's absolutely unforgivable. On top of everything else, you've got the typical Mitsubishi problems that come from their small global presence. The dealer network is small and scattered. Parts supply is limited, meaning you'll wait longer for service. Customer service is questionable across the board. If something goes wrong with your Eclipse Cross, you're going to have a hard time getting it fixed quickly or affordably. You might end up waiting weeks for parts or driving far out of your way to find a Mitsubishi dealer. It's genuinely hard to recommend this vehicle to anyone under any circumstance. At number 3, we're moving into truly catastrophic territory. The Jeep Grand Cherokee. Now, Jeep is owned by Stellantis, a company that's been absolutely battered by quality control issues throughout 2026. But even within that broader context of Stellantis problems, the Grand Cherokee stands out as particularly and distinctly problematic. Jeep build quality has always been questionable and a concern for buyers, but the Grand Cherokee takes unreliability to an entirely new level that's almost impressive in its consistency. Owners are reporting electrical problems that make the vehicle unreliable, engine issues that create performance concerns, transmission failures requiring expensive repairs, steering problems affecting control, suspension issues affecting handling, climate control malfunctions, leaving you uncomfortable. It's genuinely like Jeep decided to install every possible component with potential reliability issues into a single vehicle. And then they decided to charge premium prices for the privilege. It makes no sense from a consumer perspective. The plug-in hybrid version, the 4RXE, is somehow even worse than the standard engine. It's a repair nightmare for owners. The powertrain is overly complex and difficult to fix. The reliability is absolutely abysmal based on owner reports, and the performance improvements are barely noticeable compared to the standard engine. You're paying a massive premium for a vehicle that's more likely to spend time in the service department than on the road. What's particularly infuriating is that Jeep is charging luxury vehicle prices for Grand Cherokee that has reliability comparable to vehicles costing half as much money. You could buy a Toyota Highlander for significantly less money, and you'd get far superior reliability, much better resale value, and a vehicle that will actually last for more than 5 years of ownership. The Grand Cherokee represents one of the worst value propositions in the entire SUV market. And number 2, we have the Jeep Compass. And if the Grand Cherokee is bad, the Compass is genuinely catastrophic. This is unquestionably the worst product that Jeep currently makes. It's genuinely hard to understand why anyone would purchase one of these vehicles in 2026. When you look at overall quality, when you look at value for money, when you look at the actual product you're getting for the price you're paying, the Compass is almost impossible to defend to anyone. It underperforms in every single meaningful metric. The engine is weak and underpowered. The transmission is problematic and unreliable. The interior is cheap plastic without refinement. The technology is outdated and frustrating. The resale value is dismal and depressing. The reliability is below average across all categories. There's literally nothing about the Compass that makes it a compelling purchase compared to its actual competitors. A Honda CR-V is better in virtually every way. A Toyota RAV4 is better in virtually every way. A Mazda CX-5 is better in virtually every way. The only reason someone might buy a Compass is because they got an incredible financial discount, and even then, they're probably making a financial mistake. Jeep dealers are struggling to move these vehicles even with massive financial incentives and rebates. That tells you everything you need to know about this vehicle. The market has clearly spoken. The Compass is a failure, and anyone who buys one is likely to regret it immediately. And finally, at number 1, the worst SUV of 2026, we have the Dodge Hornet. This vehicle is a masterclass in how to do almost everything wrong. It's a tiny, overpriced, small crossover with poor build quality. It's assembled in Italy using parts sourced from Alfa Romeo and Fiat, which means it's guaranteed to be a repair nightmare. The depreciation is absolutely catastrophic. These vehicles are losing value so quickly that Dodge dealers are begging customers to buy them with 5-figure discounts. The Hornet is essentially a badge-engineered Alfa Romeo Tonale, and both vehicles are universally despised by the market. Nobody wants them. Dealers can't move them. The resale value is so bad that a 2-year-old Hornet is worth barely more than half its original purchase price. The quality control is questionable. The reliability is uncertain. The performance is underwhelming. The interior is cramped. And somehow, Dodge is still charging premium prices for this disaster on wheels. If you see a Dodge Hornet on a dealer lot, run the other direction. This vehicle will cost you money in every possible way. It will cost you money when you buy it. It will cost you money when you fix it. It will cost you money when you sell it. It's hard to think of a vehicle that represents a worse financial decision in 2026. Now, let's talk about what this all means. We've just gone through 10 vehicles that are actively destroying people's finances across Australia and globally. We're talking about engine failures, transmission problems, catastrophic depreciation, and reliability issues that will haunt owners for years. These aren't isolated incidents. These are systemic problems affecting hundreds of thousands of vehicles. The data is clear. Consumer Reports analyzed feedback from over 380,000 vehicle owners. The NHTSA has issued multiple recalls for critical safety and powertrain issues. Australian depreciation records show which vehicles are holding value and which ones are evaporating faster than ice in the outback. And the common thread connecting all of these vehicles is that manufacturers knew about these problems and chose to sell them anyway. Now, what should you buy instead? The vehicles that are actually worth your money in 2026 are the ones with proven powertrains, strong reliability records, and solid resale value. The Toyota RAV4 Hybrid has been the best-selling SUV in Australia for a reason. It's reliable, it holds its value, it has excellent fuel economy. The Mazda CX-5 is another solid choice. Simple, proven engineering, excellent build quality, strong resale value. The Honda CR-V Hybrid is also a great option. These vehicles represent the opposite of the disasters we've been discussing. If you're shopping for an SUV right now, do your research. Don't just look at the price tag. Don't just look at the styling. Look at reliability ratings. Look at depreciation curves. Look at owner feedback. Look at recall histories. Read owner forms and see what people are actually saying about their vehicles after 12 months, 24 months, 36 months of ownership. Because here's the truth. A cheap vehicle that costs a lot to maintain and loses value quickly isn't cheap at all. It's expensive. And a higher priced vehicle that's reliable, holds its value, and costs very little to maintain is actually a bargain. The false economy of buying a cheaper, less reliable vehicle is something that's costing Australian families hundreds of millions of dollars annually. This is why we make these videos. This is why we do the research. This is why we're willing to upset manufacturers and dealers by telling you the truth. Because somewhere out there, someone is walking into a dealership right now thinking they're about to make a smart financial decision. They're about to buy one of the vehicles we've discussed. They're about to make a mistake that will cost them thousands of dollars. If this video reaches even one person and saves them from buying a Dodge Hornet or a Jeep Compass or a Kia Seltos with that defective engine, then every minute we spent researching this is worth it. If this video helps you make a better decision, then please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and most importantly, share this with your friends and family who might be considering purchasing one of these vehicles. Your financial well-being is more important than any single purchase decision. Take your time, do your research. And remember, the cheapest vehicle is never the one with the lowest sticker price. It's the one that costs the least over its entire life cycle. The vehicles that are reliable, that hold their value, that don't cost you thousands in repairs every year, those are the cheap vehicles. Thank you for watching. We'll see you in the next video.